Mike Steph, this marks a new beginning. Thanks for supporting a total reinvention. The soul is still here, but the vibe's a little different. Unpredictable, hide the kids and the women. Sports of all sorts, music mixed with living. Rep New York City, but hate the politicians. Always bring the heat, Steph bacon in the kitchen. Big shout to y'all, I appreciate the listen. Donnie put the rest, but I'm still in the best. In the world of what I do, all y'all know the rest. I live it, I breathe it, I'm the whole definition. The pinnacle, the ultimate, I'm on a new mission. The Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph, featuring the one and only Mike Steph, the best in the world of what he does. Tap in.
People really think that the grass is always greener. Wake the hell up and stop being such a dreamer. The Oracle showed me, made me a believer. Matrix unplugged, gotta pack the Nina. Who would have thought it would be like this? 2 half-a-zans from trees on my lips. Took time for granted, now ain't that a bitch. My quest to live high made my whole world flip. And every other week I have to pick up a script. The stresses in my life make me feel like shit. The last 2 years with my bro and my kid. The only silver lining I reunited with my sis. My heart flutters, speech stutters, car sputters. Trying to find the joy in life before they close my shutters. New sense of younger and I wasn't like the others. Spirit outnumbered the physical, running out of covers. I've been a motherless child for 17 years. But this would be the first that I face all my fears. Feelings make me numb from the bud and the biz. Now I'll be free to understand all my tears. All parts of my past are starting to unravel. 5 deaths and counting are a lot for me to tackle. Doubled up my therapy to prepare for the battles. Still new to the view, being sober's worth the hassle. So used to Donnie helping to mourn mommy. Stripped of my vices, revealing the calm me. The process, the progress, the journey is alarming. Now I got a grand, living around all the palm trees that is, ha ha. Thoughts are positive, but I'm scared for my future. Every palpitation feels like my end is coming sooner. Used to take pills to make me seem cooler. Now I'm taking daily, hopefully they don't have me neutered. What up, people? What up, people? I would say welcome to another edition of the Salty Thoughts of Donnie U podcast, but guess what? Donnie is no more. So I would say welcome to another edition of the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph podcast, featuring the one and only Mike Steph, best in what he does. This is a very special occasion. It's not just another edition. It's a very special occasion for 2 reasons. One, because this is actually a do-over. Yeah, I'm taking you behind the curtain. This is a do-over because guess what? My trusty old laptop decided to not cooperate with yours truly. I was in the middle of a potentially classic episode, and don't get me wrong, because this redo is probably going to be more classic than the version that we're going to have. And when I say we, yeah, I kind of let the cat out of the bag. First, let me put that up there. Mike Steph, a.k.a. G.I. Bro. And you want to know what G.I. Bro is. No, it's not another reincarnation of Booker T's gimmick from WCW. No. No, it's not, I'm just trying to be funny by saying G.I. Joe. Instead of saying G.I. Joe, I say, G.I. Bro. No, that's not what we're talking about. I consider myself a GI bro. Do you know what a GI bro is? I consider myself a gimmick infringement brother. Yes. When I was plugging numerous outlets at the end of my podcast, there was one in particular that I always would go above and beyond to plug, and that would be GI, Winchester, and McDowell. And yeah, I just every time they drop every Monday, 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, even Eastern Daylight Time. Still 3 a.m. Never the same. Matter of fact, it was 2 a.m. When we go back. Yeah, they go back 1 hour too. 2 a.m. But regardless, it's early Monday mornings, late Saturday nights. Well, late Sunday nights. You know what? And this is almost like a redo of what happened because I was rambling before and I almost messed up. So let me bring my special guest. My special guest. The reason why I am a GI bro this week. Um, I'll let him introduce himself.
My brother, it's great to be with you. I'm Tyler McDowell, co-host of Gimmick Infringement. Like you said, Mike, every single Monday, pro wrestling, pop culture, much more at GI Pod 19. I'm so happy to be here, bro. You look great. You sound great. This is our redo, a classic episode in the making. Nothing's gonna stop us. I'm so excited to be here, man. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, but everybody knows how I'm doing. How are you doing in this splendid what second Sunday of September? How is your September? How is your Sunday going?
Yeah, I mean September is great, man. We got to kick off the month with some Earth, Wind, and Fire. So I feel like the music. Yeah, that's right. I listen. I know you are known to break into song at any moment. So so know that I'm prepared for that. I even have my little curated playlist if I may even break into something. So I'm
Okay.
not gonna do it for Earth, Wind, and Fire because that's too predictable. But what I will tell you is September's treated me well, man. It's still hot here in Arizona, but I enjoy the heat more often than not. Work's good. Family, friends are good, man. Lots to be grateful for. Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. And what's even more beautiful is 7 minutes and 15 seconds. I swear, it's almost. I swear, wasn't that around the time that I put the intro in before? I
It was
think
around that time.
so. Ain't this something? And this is not planned because y'all know I very seldom really write things out. Sometimes I have some guidelines, but I don't write things out. A lot of times it's off the top or has been coined stream of consciousness content. But yeah, that was eerie to a certain degree that we did it again, and 7 minutes and 15 seconds in, I allowed you to get your spiel out and I put intro. Hopefully, we will not have a redo of what happened 2 more minutes in where my computer just said click.
You were gone. It was good until it
Yeah,
wasn't.
I was gone. I was gone. This week, matter of fact, this is how I'm gonna break it down. Mr. McDowell, hopefully for all y'all longtime viewers, was my first guest on the inaugural edition of the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph podcast, the YouTube edition, and trust and believe the mothership, the flagship, if you will. The audio edition is still in effect, but it's very special and sentimental to me for a myriad of reasons. But I would divulge this one. When I made the transition from my former alter ego, that guy Donnie Oo, the salty daughter Donnie Oo. When I made the decision to put him to rest and let the world, the masses, if you will, know me, Mike. I mean, yes, the face is the same, the thoughts are the same, but have enough confidence to go out into this venture as myself. Um, Tyler was very instrumental in that, and this is going to be new to him because I almost let the cat out the bag, but I said, you know what, I want to save it for on air content, so to speak. Um, I needed, I felt that well, matter of fact, I won't say I'm, no, I'm going to put the ego to the side. I needed someone that I felt confident with to go on air with, especially the video aspect of this, to kind of really get my feet wet. To have somebody to play off of, to not have to carry the full load, so to speak, because back in February and March, I believe our episode was in March 6th to be exact. Um, I was still, I'm still a work in progress. I'm always a work in progress, but back then it was a little bit more acute than it is now of the changes that I've um, committed to in my personal life. Um, there's a reason why I say or read more aptly, read a verse at the beginning of my podcast now. Those are both past and present raps. The one that I read today, actually, I have not recorded yet at all. Um, and it's very, very, very near and dear to my heart. And a lot of times there would be certain things I would shield away from the public at large because everything is not for public consumption, and I do still agree with that. But when it comes to my creative outlet and being the fact that I do podcasts more than music nowadays, I still have to get those feelings or those thoughts out. But I say all that to say, back then I was very, very vulnerable. I'm still vulnerable, but and Tyler, that 2.5 hour episode that we cut into two parts. First of all, that was something long overdue. And the fact that personally, Tyler has really shown himself to be someone that you can count on for support, not just superficial support, but emotional support. Just being a true friend, you know. Even though we have an age difference, he's like a little brother of mine. But I don't say that in jest. I say it as in he's a brother of mine, and I truly do believe that, and I truly feel that way. So this episode is probably going to be way different to a certain degree because I'm more free. I'm more just out there. Like, I mean, I'm 22 episodes in, and if you're a long time viewer, then you know what you're getting. But it would be totally different than what we had before, because before it was like, all right, I'm gonna stay in this lane. I'm gonna, ask these questions, and pretty much I kind of let him or allowed him, or just I was comfortable enough to let him lead. He didn't even realize he was leading, and he actually was. You know, if you go back, and I do encourage people to go back to the first two episodes, you'll notice by the end of the episode, you kind of see me get more comfortable, more into the groove of what was going on. But yeah, that's what I wanted to say to you, and I said, I was going to say it on camera. But yeah, I truly appreciate you as a person. I truly appreciate you coming on my platform, because I do have limited guests, and I do appreciate you actually allowing me to actually get to episode 22, because if the first one slash two did not work out, then I don't know if I would have continued to persevere and do this YouTube thing. I would have just probably just either not done it, or I would have just continued doing audio only, which is always my baby. But this some things you just need to progress. But yeah, I just want to let you know that, brother.
Oh man, well thanks, brother. That means so much to me. I really appreciate your words. And really, I was listening to you and I was like, oh shoot, he's gonna turn it over to me, and then I have to come up with coherent words because you know how much our relationship has meant and means to me. And the fact that with the podcast, obviously big ups to my co-host Brad. I feel like Brad and I have grown closer in many ways, even though we worked together for 5 years. Meeting people like Mo, obviously your co-host on Hidden Gems Football, and meeting you, which has been so beautiful. Getting to know you as a person, and then of course being the West Coast #1 Salty Thoughts fan. I wear that badge proudly. It's I love what you do, and the fact, like you said, kind of leaning really into your new concept here with the show, and you've always been not only so what's what I'm looking for? I guess I'll say you've never hesitated to be vulnerable and be open with your guests, with your friends, again, which I'm honored to call myself. You're just always so vulnerable and so open and so strong and so kind and so giving to everyone. And I feel like I kind of know your family and know your friends. I know you had the couples retreat episodes. So I feel like you have a really special talent of, you don't just put out content week after week, but you really get a glimpse into who you are and your life and the people you love in such an authentic way. So long way of saying it's an honor to call you a friend. It's an honor to be on your platform for a second time. And I'm as grateful for you as you are for me, needless to say.
Thank you. I really I appreciate you. Like you know, because there's certain things um that I've always kept a wall up to a certain degree. Like um my late brother, he was the only person that I didn't keep a wall up to, because like he I always say he knew original Mike. Like he knew me. He knew me before I was a father. He knew me before I was a husband. He knew me before I was a worker. He knew me before I was a podcast host. You know, and yeah, so I always kept the wall up, you know, and throughout, especially the last couple years, people that's been in my life or people that have entered my life, I've made a concerted effort to like lower the wall down just a little bit, because I'm like, look, all right, you never know what relationships you might be missing out on, friendships you might be missing out on if you're always up like this, you know, and especially you don't even realize that sometimes you could feed off one another positively, because you know there are ways that sometimes you get that negative energy, but we're not talking about negativity right now. But you know, sometimes positive energy, you feed off of that, you know, and that just propels you to go more and more, you know. So yeah, so I, like I said, I appreciate you, brother, for everything that that we have experienced over the year and change that we've known each other. Because damn, I think it's going on 18 months since we start chopping it up.
That's wild.
When I say this dude, and I said it in the first time, but this dude welcomed me with open arms, sight unseen.
Sight unseen.
All he had was a recommendation of, yo, I know somebody who knows, who can talk about wrestling. Do you want to put him on the platform? And guess what? They put me on the platform, and they were so welcoming and accommodating. And of course, I was still kind of in my shell. And then the second time, I was like out there, and they didn't run away and scurry.
No, we did not. You know, Brad and I have so much love for you, man. It's we were honored to have you as a guest.
You know, so like I said, I appreciate all of y'all. This week, this edition, we're going to touch on a couple topics. One near and dear to my heart, and in a roundabout way, one near and dear to his heart as well. Reality TV. Reality TV, specifically the dating component of reality TV. He is a big fan of The Bachelor, The Bachelorette. I think The Golden Bachelor's coming out. And
you know it is. I think September 28th is that date. Soon.
I see. So, and I kind of got back in the swing of things. And I'm not ashamed of saying it. You know, I was an avid watcher of Temptation Island. And this is where our age difference comes into play. I remember the original Temptation Island, where they actually had tiki torches. They didn't have it wasn't modernized. Yeah, they had tiki torches.
Pause. Tiki
okay.
torches.
Okay. Yeah, I know. It's not Charlottesville.
Oh, okay. Are you, brother? Do you got a red hat just on the side there that we can't see just off screen? You got a little red,
no
red
MAGA, no MAGA over here.
Very good.
But yeah, so I started watching the latest iteration of Temptation Island. So I came up with the idea that we would actually join forces, he would let me know about some of the things that he liked about his Bachelor and Bachelorette seasons, or in this case, the Bachelorette season that just went off. And then I was going to talk about or let him know about some of the things that happened on Temptation Island this last season. So that's going to be one of the topics we're going to talk about. The second topic, which is actually we're just going to piggyback off of that, is love. And I know you're probably like, whoa, all right, we got two dudes on here talking about love with the female aspect. No, we're going to talk about this from a male perspective. But not only we're going to talk about this from a male perspective, we're going to talk about it from a generational perspective. Because dating and trying to get to know someone is way different now than it was back in the day when I was in my formative years, which I'm not anymore. Look, February will be 25 years married. So look, I've been off the market. But yeah, which go actually I give credit to him. I give credit to McTyler. Yeah, I'm gonna call him McTyler. Because he brought up, like, it would be good to discuss the differences between dating now and dating then, back then. And being the fact that I'm a benevolent dude, I didn't take it as, oh, well, he's trying to say I'm old, he's trying to say I'm washed up, he's trying to say I'm a has-been. No, it's just literally just been a big difference. And I don't know if I was single, I don't know how I would maneuver right now the way dating is. So that's topic number 2. And topic number 3, we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects. I mean, shoot, dare I say, my favorite subject to talk about on these podcasting airwaves, these YouTube streets, if you will. And that is my JETS, Jets. But we're not going to talk about the actual games because my regular season opener, our regular season opener, is tomorrow. Well, as when you get this, it'll be tonight, Monday night. Dun, 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 dun! Monday Night Football against the Buffalo Bills. But no, we're not going to break it down. We're not going to go, oh, yeah, who do you got against the spread? Who you got over, under? No, because if you want to know about that, you check out my second entity, which is on the 19 Media Group's YouTube page, YouTube platform, entitled Hidden Gems Football with myself and the Mojo King. Check out this last week's episode that dropped this past Thursday, and you'll get my insights on the actual game between the Jets and the Bills. No, we're going to talk about Hard Knocks, because even though he is a Arizona Cardinals fan whose Cardinals cost me some coin today.
Yes, they did.
By actually having a representative showing of themselves. He was an avid watcher of the Hard Knocks series, and he's actually going to show me or tell me or put me on to some stuff that maybe went over my head, because sometimes when you're too close to the situation, things whiz by. And that's what McTyler is going to do today when we talk about Hard Knocks. So with all that being said and done, almost forgot. There will be the second iteration. Matter of fact, the second edition of the newest segment of the Salty Daughter Mike Steph, which I belovedly call Smoke and Mirrors. Whoa! It's only Smoke and Mirrors! I did that to Mo by mistake, and I forgot that
for real.
He had his headphones on, which I actually just forgot that you had your headphones on. So I said something and I just yelled it out, and he was like, "Dude, yo, you almost blew my." I'm like, "Oh shoot, my bad." But yeah,
the decibel levels were a little high on that one for Mo.
Yeah, I apologize. So when I say "whoa," I'll put it back here so I won't be off here because I forgot. I just gotta guess.
I got you. Yeah, I love it.
So with all that being said and done, we're going to get this show on the road, right? So without further ado, should I do this? Yeah, shoot. It doesn't matter if I got a guest or not. Good night. and goodbye. Oh, bang. Yeah, a little lag, but still the same. Yeah, that's right. Temptation Island versus the Bachelorette. Now, um, being the fact I know because my mouth is starting to get dry. I've been talking a lot. I'm going to allow Tyler to set this one off because I want you to let my fans know. Well, my viewers know because I don't know. Sure, fans might be an overstatement. I don't know, but I want you to let my viewers know about the latest season of The Bachelorette. You know, your likes, your dislikes, and things that if they want to go, things that you might want to point out if someone might want to go back and binge watch. The floor is yours.
Oh, I got you. I got you. Say less. So I am, I guess you could say, a relatively new Bachelor and Bachelorette fan. I was put on to this franchise by my beautiful, amazing mother. And I knew what she'd been watching for years and years. She's a big reality TV buff. But for me, this show didn't really become appealing until the introduction of their first Black Bachelor. So once they announced that Matt James was going to be the lead, I was all in, Mike. How could I not be? I got the cosign from my mom, and now we finally got a brother here. Like this is what we needed. Yep, this is what we needed. We've been waiting for it. So I think Matt James was, I want to say maybe 2019, 2020, give or take. So I've been following the franchise for a few years now. But some people go back to like season 1, season 2. That's not quite me. That being said, this past season, we had Charity Lawson from Georgia. Beautiful, beautiful sister. So they've had several Black women as leads now. I think Charity's got to be maybe the 3rd or 4th. So they've really improved in that area. So I'm going to watch The Bachelor or The Bachelorette regardless at this point because I'm really hooked on it now. But when there is a lead of color, especially if there's a sister, there's a brother, I'm all in, Mike. I'm 2 feet in. I'm in the pool like every episode. I don't miss any of it. That's right. And Charity season was really good. So she's from Georgia. And there were a few topics that I appreciated this season. So she ended up choosing a brother. His name's Dodden. And a really tall guy, like 6'4", 6'5", like just huge. So we obviously celebrate Black love here every day. What was interesting about her season, though, is that she didn't shy away from being upfront about some of those, I guess, kind of taboo topics, such as, let's say, interracial dating. So her final 2, Dodden, brother, and then a guy named Joey, who's a tennis pro from Hawaii, who's a white guy. And so in her conversations, particularly with Joey, and when she met his family and he met her family, that was a real topic of let's address, have you dated a woman of color before? Have you dated a Black woman? Okay, have you dated a white guy? So what I appreciated about Charity's season was that not only is she just a stunning, independent, accomplished woman, but I feel like she also brought a sense of just real, for lack of a better term, to the franchise where, she wasn't hesitant to have those conversations that for most of the fan base maybe would have felt a little bit awkward or tough to hear years and years ago, because I think the fan base is predominantly white if we're keeping it a stack. So I just appreciated that we've had enough women now on the series, women of color, Black women again in particular, where I just feel like they've opened the franchise to new viewers. And I just thought Charity was great, man. She found love. From my recollection, her and Dodden are still together. The franchise has a really interesting track record of, I would say it's probably a 50-50 shot. I'm going to pass it to you for Temptation Island. I don't know about your series, but the couples that come out of The Bachelor and Bachelorette, 50-50 is probably being generous. About half of them work, half of them are done within 6 months to a year. Just like real relationships, which maybe we'll get into. So Charity Lawson, it was great, man. Highly recommend it. Definitely a series to go back and check out. It's on Hulu, so you can check out Matt James this season. You can check out Charity Lawson. I highly recommend it.
I have one. Matter of fact, I have a question. What was the high point of the season, when she was going on her various dates, what would you consider the high point of the season, of this last Bachelorette season?
Yeah, yeah. For me, it's always the hometown visits. So that's when a lead has typically four contestants left,
Okay.
and he or she will go to each of their hometowns and spend a day with them, meet their family, all that. So that was my favorite episode of the season. I think it's definitely the one to go back to and watch, because she had a really diverse mix of dudes near the end. So kind of from my couch, seeing how she interacts with Dodden's family versus Joey's family and the other guys, it was super interesting. That's what I really enjoy, is when we get to meet the families and see how they interact, and in some of these guys' case, like seeing their moms and the love their moms had for them,
Hmm.
and seeing how Charity interacts with her father and her brother. It's just it's beautiful to see families happy, and to kind of get their thoughts on dating nowadays, because I know we'll get into it. It's quite complex. I would say the hometown visits are my favorite, and this season with Charity, that definitely proved to be true.
Do you think that she ultimately made the right choice, or was there somebody that was eliminated prior to, let's say, the hometown visit? You're like, you know what? Maybe she could have gave old boy a little extra play, because I think he probably got the world end of the stick, so to speak.
For this season, no. Dodden was for. I'll put you on here. I'll hip you to this here. Uh, Fans of The Bachelor and Bachelorette are called Bachelor Nation. So
Okay.
I'm putting you under the McDowell learning tree here. You're welcome.
Okay.
So as a card as a
you,
I popped
you you're a
myself there.
trip. Go ahead.
As a card carrying member in my head of Bachelor Nation, I will tell you that we saw that Dodden was the clear favorite from probably about week 4, week 5. So we've
Okay.
been knowing for literal weeks and weeks, if not months at this point, that Dodden was going to be the choice. It seemed like they had the most chemistry. I mean, the brother is 6'5". He's got a good haircut, has a decent job. Like, Mike, we've seen this before. We see how this plays out. Um, it was obvious that he was going to be the selection. I think she chose right. It seemed like they had the best chemistry, and I hope they make it work. I hope they're still together the next time I have the honor of being on Salty Thoughts, because history would say the chances are great, but it seems like they were a good match for each other.
Now, okay. Now, since you're fully engrossed in the Bachelor Nation, um, what are your thoughts about this Golden Bachelor that's coming up? Like, do you think that's a good idea? Do you think this is a jump the shark moment? Are you intrigued? Do you really want to see them get romantic? Like, I'm throwing it out there.
Yeah. It's a great question. So the Golden Bachelor, like you said, is brand new. This concept, I think, for a while, folks thought this was kind of maybe a joke that they were looking for contestants to be on here. But I might be talking to one. But surprise, no, it's happening. They're full steam on promotion. I think they've already shot the show. So we're following the life of this gentleman, Gary, and I'm intrigued. I'm definitely going to give it a shot. It's going to be, in terms of the viewing experience, Mike. It's I don't know, man. It's I don't know if the dates are going to be kind of skewed to be different, because I don't know that we're going to see like Jerry and his uh, the potential loves of his life, like in a hot tub, or
His
or
harem of old biddies.
you said it. You said it.
Listen,
Not
I'm
me.
gonna take all the heat. Remember, I'm
You're
the
gonna take
host.
all this.
He's the guest. He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to. Which going to join into the debauchery. Cause best believe when I get into Temptation Island, there's probably gonna be a whole thing. She's gonna probably cut his camera off. I'm letting you know that now. But go ahead.
My summarized thoughts as I try here. I'm definitely all in for it. I'm gonna give it a shot. I think that in the world we're in terms of reality TV, the Bachelor and Bachelorette, they still do a really old school show. I don't know about Temptation Island, but obviously the key to my series here is that you have to propose at the end of the show. So the man, whether he's the bachelor or he's a contestant on the Bachelorette, the man has to get down on one knee and propose, and that's how the show ends. And I even think that concept is now coming into question because we know, Mike, that in 2023, the idea of I just met you a month and a half ago and now I'm proposing to you, it's always been ridiculous if we're going to call a spade. But now with how folks date and the other shows that are available to consume, Temptation Island, The Big D,
Oh yeah.
the Netflix gimmick, what is it, Love is Blind, where they're like in a telephone booth and they're saying, sweet nothings to each other. You have all of these shows now that are competing for this space, or this island, if you will, that the Bachelor and Bachelorette have kind of been at the top of for so long. So my point here is that I do appreciate that the franchise is trying something different. I think the engagement piece will always be a part of the franchise. I don't think that's going away, even though it's absurd. Okay. But I'm all in for giving Gary a shot. I don't know how they're going to film it. I don't think we're going to see as much hot tub or like even fantasy suites, which comes when there's about three contestants left. There's the fantasy suite where they have their bedroom time, and I don't know if we're getting any of that, but I'm gonna give Gary and his ladies a shot. I'm excited, and I think we need to give big ups to the franchise that they're trying something different.
Now, I wonder if they're gonna have like a poll of the contestants on how many are actually never been married, how many people have been divorced, how many people, if this like, all right, if this is their third go around, or or they're on some Liz Taylor stuff, like, all right, this is number 9.
I think it's a mix. Maybe there will be some who have just been single. Like, I don't have a spouse who passed away. I don't have grandkids. Like, I'm just chosen to be single, and here I am giving this a shot. I hope it's a mix of everything you said.
I mean, not to kind of pigeonhole myself into being that guy, but if you're in your 60s and 70s and you've always been single, wouldn't you consider that maybe a red flag?
Listen. maybe a contestant had an entanglement, or 3,
okay,
or 4.
Okay,
you know what, Jada? I know that folks. This is where I just get on my thing for a moment. As a true fan of the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph, nearly a day one, I'm going to call myself. I know deep in the archives, this is a quote. I say entanglement because Jada Pinkett Smith put us onto that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that back in the day, you and the sponsor, yes, the artist of the beautiful painting that you have behind you, I know that you two have been compared to Will and Jada. So don't sleep on entanglements. I'm not saying I endorse them, but it's possible that, hey, I haven't maybe been married, but I've been doing my entanglement thing. I've been, Sex in the City Jones. I've been single, and here I am showing up for Gary's heart.
Time. Let me clarify. The comparison, even now, when you look back at it, like, darn, maybe you should. But the comparison of, no, this is not happening. Bring me back. Thank you. See, that was StreamYard. That wasn't me. That was StreamYard. But the comparison, because you see, they knew I was about to say something blasphemous, and they was like, you know what? Let's cut the stream. The comparison between me and Jada, Will and Jada, between me and my wife, was our longevity together. That we've known each other. We've been together from being young, and we grew our family, and we stayed through thick and thin. We stayed never about the entanglement. No, that red table talk had nothing to do with the comparison. Nothing. Do you see bloodshot eyes? Have I smacked Chris Rock? No.
so you're telling us that
keep my wife out your mother effing mouth.
So you're swearing to us that you don't have August Alsina up in the guest room.
No.
Okay,
There's no grooming over
we don't need
here.
to
The
rehash
only
Will and
thing
Jada.
grooming that we're talking about, we'll talk about later with the smoke and mirrors. Yes.
Okay. I'm all ears for Temptation Island, though. Tell me why that series
Okay.
stands at the top of your favorite for reality TV, particularly reality TV about love.
Because Temptation Island to me has always been a little bit ratchet to a certain degree. Not as bad as some of
Okay.
those not as bad as like Flavor of Love back in the day or
Ooh,
all
I
that,
love
or even some of the shows that's on the Zeus network or whatever. I'm not talking about or Tubi. I'm not talking
I
about
love
that.
New York. I love New York, the spinoff of Flavor of Love.
It's not as
Yeah, I
bad as
got you.
that.
Pumpkin.
But
Yep.
being the fact that all right, the premise is you got four couples, right? You got four couples that are trying to determine whether they're going to take that next step. Either they're going to get engaged, or they're actually engaged and they want to take it to the next step and actually get married. But there's certain issues in their relationship, and they figured they come to the island to pretty much really to find out whether their love is real or whether it's just a figment of the imagination. If you're able to get tempted off a couple of days, I don't even know how, maybe a couple of weeks, but a couple of days, couple of weeks in an island by some stranger, then maybe you dodged a bullet. So you have four couples, right? And of course, I have.
Who are these two? Is that
Yeah.
is that Jadena and who are these two?
Okay, the guy name is great. Like I'm not gonna make fun of his name. Which guard? I believe he's from Kenya or Ghana. I believe. I didn't realize that until the reunion. But this is great in Paris. They came onto the island as a couple. Um, that had issues because I guess he always had a wandering eye, and she really was supposedly into him, but within the first opportunity, she showed her true colors for what she really was. So that which one they're great in Paris, where I'll get to in a minute. The second couple, and okay, Hall and Caitlin. Hall is a 35-year-old male. Caitlin is a 31-year-old female, and they have been engaged for guess how many years? Almost 8 years. To me, look, if you're engaged for 8 years, or let's say I'll take her point of view. If you're engaged with a dude for 8 years and he broke up with you and came back to you and you still didn't jump over the broom, so to speak, even though I don't know, maybe they jumped over the broom, maybe they broke some glass, I don't know, whatever. That probably means that he has no intention on making you an honest woman. But they're a very interesting couple, which I will talk about in a very few minutes. This couple right here, as I'm dealing with lag time on my end, this couple right here is Christopher and Marcella. Christopher was a pompous idiot, and Marcella never felt that she was good enough for Christopher because he had such lofty standards that she felt that she was never going to be able to attain his full respect. And after the time of Temptation Island, she proved herself correct, and he proved himself to be a pompous ass, in which we'll talk about in a very few minutes. And last but not least, one of my favorite couples, and I say that loosely, is Roberto and Vanessa. They have a 9-year age difference. He is 25. She is 34. She was very, very domineering. She wanted it her way or the highway, and but she always did profess that she loved her man. She just wanted to mold him into what she felt that she wanted and didn't allow him a chance to grow because he was still in those formative years. Now, I'm going to show you 4 women that actually had a lot to do with the outcome. Her name is Michaela. Michaela was a 24-year-old student. Yeah, it wasn't 24-year-old this, 24-year-old. No, she was a 24-year-old student. That was one of the singles that was on the island. Pretty much her job was to tempt. And tempt she did, because she ended up tempting and actually persuading Hall, the one who was engaged for 8 years, to leave his fiance for the 3rd time and leave the island with this 24-year-old student. This lady right here, her name was Nafisa. Nafisa ended up at the time leaving the island with Great. You know, the first couple, Great in Paris. She ended up leaving in the island with Great, and then we found out in the reunion that after maybe a couple weeks after they got back to civilization, they kind of stopped talking, and Great started trying to pursue Paris. This lady right here, this young lady right here, Alexis left, or she thought she was leaving the island with Christopher and Marcella. Actually, they did leave the island because Christopher and Marcella came to the point of, look, we're not good for each other. All right, Marcella said she found her self-respect. She found her true self, and she decided to leave the island by herself to continue her growth. And Christopher said, all right, well, see ya, and left the island with Alexis. But a shocking information came out in the reunion. Matter of fact, Alexis said that she was pregnant, and it was Christopher's baby. Matter of fact, when Alexis said that she was pregnant, and she alerted Christopher to the fact that she was pregnant, because of course, as 2023 has shown on reality TV, these people have sex unprotected. They go raw dog. So yes, they showed them actually in the suite and getting it on. The temptation light came on with the other house, because the temptation light was a light that when somebody's significant other fell victim to temptation, i.e. kissing, or i.e. going the whole way, the temptation light went off in the opposite house to let them know, oh shoot, one of our significant others is doing something that maybe they shouldn't be doing. It was just, it was pretty much an alert. So Alexis said that she was pregnant, and Christopher in the reunion is like, how you know it was mine? And Alexis was like, look, we were on the island. You're the only dude I was messing with on the island. So the host was like, was it protected? And she was like, no, we didn't have protected sex. And he was aghast. And because when they got back to civilization, he was actually trying to get Marcella back. So pretty much he had popped something in her, and he was like, it pretty much was like, hey, ain't my problem. Needless to say, and I'll be delicate on this, needless to say, she is not pregnant at this time. And this last but not least, Desiree ended up not leaving the island with anyone, but she was close to getting Roberto to leave Vanessa, because she was such a breath of fresh air for Roberto. Roberto had felt his inner voice, his inner man. Actually, he became a man on the show, And Desiree allowed Roberto to feel free from the clutches of Vanessa and her domineering ways until they got back to civilization. When they got back to civilization, because he did ultimately leave the island with Vanessa. And Vanessa asked him before they left the island, do you want to be with me? Did you disrespect me? I.e., did you have sex with anybody else? He said no. But when they got back to civilization, they said maybe first couple days back, they got into an argument, they got into a disagreement because Roberto told Vanessa he had to call Desi. He had to explain to Desi, like, pretty much he had to explain his decision. Like, look, this is why I chose the way I chose, blah, blah, blah. Vanessa couldn't understand, like, look, we came here together, we left together. Why do you owe her anything? And then he broke it to her on air that the reason, well, actually, Desi was there and admitted that, yes, not only did they just fool around, no, they did have intercourse. And that was kind of a deal breaker for Vanessa, because Vanessa was like, look, I might have been flirting. I might have been, but I always gave you that respect as my boyfriend, as my man, of I wasn't going to deflower myself while I was on the show. And you didn't do the same for me. So, and on top of it, you lied. You wasn't upfront with it. So now I understand why when we got back home that you felt the dire need to speak to this woman. Because I'm like, look, we off the island. Why you need to speak to this girl? Now I know why. Now, two things when it came to the show that I found was very interesting. This couple right here, great in Paris. Paris, to me, I want to say probably the second or third episode when they split up and they went to different houses, right? Paris went on a date with one of the single fellas, and she was feeling him. When I say she was feeling him, she was feeling him, right? And she got caught on camera because at the end of each episode, they had what they call, not a campfire, but I'll just say, for lack of a better term, campfire, because I really forgot. Where they would sit down and they would talk to the host, and they would actually see clips of what their significant other was doing in the other house. Great sat down. Now, Great, he had multiple suitors, but Great sat down and saw a video of Paris with her single male, and she's telling one of the other women, man, and I'm going to try to be not as vulgar as I would love to be, but I have to say but so much. She said, man, I swear, if it wasn't for cameras, man, I would have sucked this beep.
Just like that.
Yeah. She's like, look, if it wasn't for cameras, I would have sucked him off. Great looked at that like, word? Really? So you just said this on national television, that if there wasn't cameras, you would have did this. So, all right, fine. Guess what? Now I'm free to do what I need to do because you done already told me your intentions. You embarrassed me as your man. It's one thing to flirt. Another thing to even hug. Another thing to even kiss. But to say, yeah, on national TV, yo, if there was no cameras around, I would have handled my business. I can't deprive myself of all these suitors in front of me. Like, it's dead. Yeah. What you think about that?
To me, it sounds like you said his name is Great.
Yeah, Great.
Yeah,
like Great Adventure.
Yeah. These were all just, I think the first, the similarity we have here, Mike, is like these are all just very beautiful people. These are all just great people to see on camera. I do wish that they would have on both sides, both genders, different shapes. It feels like if you don't have an 8-pack or if you're not like a size 0, you sometimes don't make the cut, which I would like to see improved on our shows. But in terms of your scenario here, I think that Great feels as though he was being gaslit. And you know something about me, Brother Steph. I am not one for gaslighting. I am against it at all costs. Even with you, I take umbrage. That's right. Second SAT word of the day, umbrage.
Umbrage.
Okay. I take umbrage with your scenario from back in the day. That's right. This is going back to Couples Retreat Part 2, where I still can't believe you did this. Where you and Mika, you and the sponsor were together, of course, but you went to this family party. Just to rewind our fans of Salty Thoughts, you were at this family party, and a childhood friend of Mika's, of the sponsors, you and him were next to each other, and he said, "Hey, yo, Mike, Mika's looking kind of nice, right?" And I don't know if you remember what you said, but I do. You told him, you said, yeah, she is. Go holla at her. and then he did that, and then fast forward many, just fast forward through this whole thing here. He learns that you've been gaslighting him this whole time. You and Mika are together. He doesn't take kindly to that. And then he brings out the Uzi. And luckily luckily you laughed, and 20 something years later, here we are now. My takeaway. So I told you I was going to get that story into this episode somehow.
Trust and believe. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to let you cook.
So thank you. So one, selfishly, I scratched that itch. There we go.
Yeah, I know you did.
Yeah, I gotta. I've been having back problems lately. People want to, That's it.
You're funny.
That's another. If that's it. That's it. If you know. Situation.
Yes.
So long form answering your question in terms of this scenario here, I think Temptation Island has a brilliant thing going. I know you said it's been a property for a while, but I think this couples format is super intriguing, and I get why it's so popular. In terms of Great, I completely understand why he would be upset by that. And my takeaway from this is it seems like these two, good thing they went on the show, because correct me if I'm wrong, you said they separated, right? They're not together anymore? Or it's complicated. Okay.
More or less, like which girl they said during the reunion, he was still trying to talk to her because he left the island with Nafisa, but within 2 or 3 weeks, he stopped talking to Nafisa.
Of course.
Talking back to Paris.
The temptation light, which I didn't know was a thing. That's hilarious. It went off, and I get why he's frustrated completely, because I would be too. From her end, I could see that there's probably also context of I forget your exact breakdown for these two, but maybe she felt like he wasn't stepping up to the plate or he wasn't doing X, Y, and Z. So I think both things can be true, but if you say that if it wasn't for cameras, I would handle my business with this other dude, I think that's a sign that you two should not get back together.
And then what made matters worse was she was such a hypocrite on the show, because every time she was seeing video of him talking to various women or fornicating with Nafisa, because he, after a while, he was like, you know what, you're fornicating. Yeah, that's another one. So when she saw the video of that, she's like, oh, how could he do that? And the host would be like, but Paris, did you not just get caught? Well, did you not last week on your date did XYZ? Did you not say that if the cameras weren't hit? So how could you get upset at him when actually you were the one who broke whatever boundary first? And she was flabbergasted, like, I don't understand how I'm the victim. Yeah, no, you're not the victim. You're not. You're playing victim the whole time.
See that, Mike, Steph, this is why we need to be against gaslighting. It does not lead to anything good. I wish you would join me here in feeling that same way. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, it makes for good content. But people don't like to feel like they were gaslit. It's not good.
Lil
Uzi Vert did for you back in the day with your story. And now we fast forward all these years to your couple. We don't gaslight people. Just give it to them straight. Shouldn't be together. Move on. Find other people.
That was never a terminology back in my day. I swear, the only time we had gaslighting was when the pilot went out and you had to pop it open and put the little lighter and put the pilot. Yeah, that was gaslighting.
That was it.
Now, which got to wrap this up. I just want to get to one other couple, which would be Hall and Caitlyn. Hall and Caitlyn. I felt bad for her because Hall pretty much told her on the show that I never wanted to marry you. I never saw us living happily ever after. But you was engaged for on and off for 8 years. She, quote unquote, because he felt that she always put her career first. And I know probably her in hindsight, she's like, good thing I did put my career first because, and for you as a 35-year-old man, I'm sorry, like when I was younger, when I was dating, I never dealt with people younger than me. All right, shoot, not that much of a what you call it, a past record, track record, because like I said, I've been married 25 years, but I just felt like, all right, I've never dealt with anybody younger than me, right? So I couldn't fathom being 35, just coming out of an 8-year engagement. And yeah, I'm going to really invest myself into a 24-year-old female whose title is student. Not real estate broker like Nafisa. Nafisa, she was 25-year-old, she was in the real estate. 24-year-old student. And in case people forgot, just one last time, this is the female right here, Kayla, not Michaela, Kayla, which has questions of itself because I'm like, like, was that a misprint or is that really how they pronounce her name? Like M-A? Like I'm sorry,
rough,
like
Mike. That's rough.
Listen. My wife corrects me because sometimes cause my daughter's named Kayla, Michaela, right?
Main event K.
Yes, main event K, right? So sometimes when I say Michaela, she's like, babe, it's Michaela, M-I. Why you pronouncing it like M-A? But fine, that's just my pronunciation. I didn't name my daughter Michaela. Like I don't know, but regardless.
I like the name. Okay. Agree to disagree.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. There was something that was kind of like slimy about the fact that you waited until you got on national TV to tell this woman that's probably seemed like she was probably supporting you more than you were supporting her. That yeah, we were never going to get married. I never really felt that way about you, because a pretty young thing. Like is he having a midlife crisis? Like he's 35. So, it was just kind of skeevy.
Are these I think this is also something we share with reality TV. Are these folks truly going on for love, or is it about gaining celebrity and gaining fame and becoming, what do they call it? Not an endorser, an influencer. I think that's also a conversation, is just trying to figure out which characters or which contestants seem to be real and which are not. Of course, we're trying to make these decisions from our couch, which inherently is a little absurd. But I think there's a healthy amount that are just there to become influencers and gain more followers, and for some it works out.
Yeah, if we had, I won't even say if we had time, but I really was going to talk about the Big D and incorporate that, but I'm not. I chose not to do that. But the Big D had a lot of characters in there that you could try to decipher whether or not they were there for the actual purpose, or they were there for the 15 minutes of fame, the spotlight.
Exactly.
So, and a
Yeah.
couple of people got called out on that, like, yeah, I don't think she's really about, really for you, bro. I really think she's out here trying to get her 15 minutes of fame.
That's always the thing, yeah.
So
Yeah, and people want to be famous. I think that's a part of this generation too, is there's just not an addiction, but there's this desire to be known, to be seen, to be wanted from the masses. I don't always begrudge people. I know they're set up as being the heels and being the villains, but sometimes I get it that we just live in a world where it's really intoxicating to get a lot of likes and to be known. And I posted a TikTok and now I have 1 million views, and I get it. I do.
That's one thing that I'm not gonna lie, I battled a little bit. Because when I started the podcast, I'm not even talking about the YouTube part. When I started the podcast, the whole point was just to get my thoughts, my salty thoughts, out to the masses, right? I really didn't care about listens, downloads, or what have you. I just like seeing there was so many podcasts out there that pretty much people was actually literally taking out their phone and recording in their car. I'm like, I could do that, and I did that. Now when I started trying to make the transition over to video, that was the part, because I come from a generation that we didn't grow up with social media. We didn't grow up really with the internet as we know it now. So I kind of battled with the fact of, okay, I'm doing this, but how much of myself do I really want to put out there? Because like I said, I'm from an era that you know me when you know me. You don't know me by just seeing me on the screen, So yeah, I can imagine, like, especially with my children, I actually do like the way they do manipulate social media, at least to my knowledge, because they partake, but they really don't partake. Like when I see my son and my daughter's, let's say, Instagram page, if you'll be lucky if they put a post, you better see it when it's up, because pretty much within 24 hours it's coming down. That's it. So they're engaged with it. They're probably looking, and let's say DM people and so forth or whatever, but they're not really out for the fame and out for the likes, out for the notoriety, but with our chosen field or chosen hobby, if you want to say that, like I said, once again, it's a real thin line, because on one hand, I'm like, all right, I'm just doing this because I feel like doing it, but at the same time, you do really want to get some type of engagement, so you don't feel like you're wasting your time. But then you go second guess, like, all right, but that's not what I started it for. I started it because I just wanted to do it. So is that fine line?
Of course, yeah. No, you put it perfectly, my friend. That's a really great way to look at it. Is just how do you judge success? How do you determine your self-worth? It's not, you want to get as many, I don't know, likes or listens or downloads as possible, but just because one week maybe you don't reach that goal, or you have a month that's really slow, that should not stop you from producing and putting out the great content that you do. Because I think as long as you stay consistent, it's going to come. And the people that are down for you, are down for you. And this is a total aside because it's fresh in my mind. I was having a conversation with a colleague this week, and she was asking a few of us. She has a daughter who is a daughter and a son. The son is in 6th grade now. And she was asking us, at what age do you think it's appropriate for a child to have social media? So we landed on about 16, but my colleague and I who were answering don't have kids. So, it's kind of taken with a grain of salt. But we said 15, probably 16. I just think in terms of like, let's say for main event K's position, I think social media as a woman, I think that can be a much different experience because research has shown that I don't know if I want to say if not used correctly, but social media can just have really negative effects on women and girls, young women, because of this idea of, okay, I go on Instagram and maybe the content I'm being delivered is, again, women who are all size zeros, perfect skin. It's just this definition of beauty. I think social media, to your point, Mike, I think social media can be amazing because we can promote our work. We can connect with friends. We connect with family on the other side of the country.
Yeah.
But then you also have to, and I think you're doing a great job of this. And as you said, your kids are, you also don't want it to totally determine your self-worth. If I don't get 50 likes, what am I doing? I'm ugly, or I'm not smart, or I'm not talented. Like, I think that's where it can get really, really dangerous if you just put so much stock into, that box on your screen or that app. So I commend you for figuring out what works for you. And it doesn't mean we're perfect at it, but I think social media should only kind of enhance our joy. If we go on social media and we feel really crummy, for lack of a better term, when we're scrolling on it, like, oh, damn, I don't have that car. I don't have that house. I don't have that perfect body. Like, that's when it's okay. I need to just rethink how I'm using this and how I determine my self-worth. So shout out to you. Shout out to Main Event K, because it just can be really dicey when you're on Instagram and when you're on some of these apps we love and spend hours and hours on every week. I just want to make sure it's adding to our health, not detracting. Because if it's the latter, I think we just got to take a back seat and pause on how we're using these things.
Now, the good thing we kind of set the segue from social media and likes.
I know where you're going.
Engagement.
Yep.
It's our next topic, which is love connection, dating now versus then. And yeah, that's not actually a technical error with the lowercase n for now and the uppercase T for then, because that's to emphasize that I feel like my era of dating was way better than this current era of dating. But the reason why we're going to get into this conversation, and I'm not going to put any words in anybody's mouth, however much Tyler decides to divulge is totally on him. But we had a discussion about dating and the communication aspect of courtship, right? And like, I'll say from my point of view, my examples, when I was in that formative years of dating, we had so many obstacles that we had to overcome. Number one, you actually had to physically get the phone number from your love interest or your potential love interest. You had to garner up enough courage to go up to that person if it was a stranger, or if it was somebody that you were friendly with, but you wanted to maybe, let's say, kind of reveal your interest of, yeah, I know we're friends, but I really want to get to know you better. You actually had to get enough courage, like, oh, excuse me, blah, blah, blah. I was wondering, could we have to continue this conversation outside of school or outside of work? Could I get your phone number? Maybe we could chat, or maybe we can get together, or so forth. That's number one. Number two, especially when school age, I'll talk about high school. When you did get the phone number, nowadays, a teenager can communicate with that girl or with that boy and just bypass just one major obstacle. You know what that obstacle was?
What's that?
Parent.
Ooh.
Because back then, when you was a guy and you was calling a girl house in high school, first and foremost, and I'm not going to put the line between male and female mother and fathers, because unfortunately some people come from a single parent home, so sometimes it's not just the mother and the father, it's sometimes it's the mother or the father. Now I'm not gonna lie, if I knew that female had a father, the butterflies in my stomach is tenfold, because I know, well, matter of fact, a lot of times if the father picked up the phone, guess what I'll do? This is before Star 69. This is before Star 67. This is the rotary dial. Yeah, I'm dating myself.
Rotary Jones, I got you.
But sometimes, and a lot of times, the mother was actually the biggest obstacle than the father. The mother sometimes would give you that, hey, honey, how you doing? Yes, such and such is home. But meanwhile, best believe that mother was giving that girl the most perfect advice on how to manipulate you. Think about it. All right, this guy seems like a good guy. All right, he's polite, he's respectful. All right, they're in the same class, so more likely, let's say, especially the way schools were at that time, you was in the same class. That probably means you're around the same grade level or whatever. You're an A student, you're a B student, or what have you. Okay, got a head on the shoulders. But I'm going to teach my daughter exactly what to expect, what not to expect, what to tolerate, what to not to tolerate. The father was just straight fear, like, do you know what time it is? Yes, sir. It's 5 o'clock. Do you know it's a school night? And then you're afraid not only that you done pissed him off at you pissed him off with the girl, to the point that the girl is scared to death to even talk to you the next day in school, because best believe when he got off that phone, he was like, you giving these raggedy, rusty ass dudes the phone number? I know I taught you better. There was so many things. Like and then when you got older, all right, you would, like I said, you had to have the face-to-face aspect. Somebody's walking down the block. Hey, excuse me, miss, how you doing? Can I speak to you for a minute? Now, I don't envy, and nowadays, especially nowadays, females still go through that even tenfold, because there's no couth with a lot of men. They're damn right disrespectful. Like I don't like the summertime when my oldest daughter goes out, because it's summertime, which goes, she wants to be summery, and she's not really allowed to be fully summery, because she has to worry about some creep trying to undress her with his eyes, or be extra aggressive. Those are things that happens now. But now you have dating apps. Now you can just swipe. Oh, he looks nice. Oh, she looks nice. Oh, look at the profile. And 9 times out of 10, that profile ain't real. That profile ain't legit. That picture might not even be that picture.
They got the verification gimmick now, Mike, where you can you can dual authentication, where they got to take a selfie of themselves and they get a check mark. Yes, this person is. There's technology now to try to correct that.
See, now I'm going to segue over to you, because like I'm dating apps are foreign to me. Like I come from the era, and this is not. It's not. I come from a era where before the app, there was chat lines that you had to call a number, and somebody would make a little message or a little voice profile, and you would go back and forth and see if you actually liked them enough to actually engage into a live conversation. That's the era I come from, and which was Wild Wild West back in the days. Boy, was that. So let which go school me on the ins and outs of dating now.
Boy, school you on it. That's quite the ask. So I think, where to even begin? Yes, for dating apps. So the more popular ones, the one. So you have really two worlds of dating apps. You have and stop me if these already sound familiar, about them. You have the kind of Tinder apps of the
Okay.
world, which are, you've heard of Tinder, yes?
Yes.
Okay, which feel free to interject if you disagree with this. So you
Hmm.
have the Tinders and the other apps that are seen as the hookup apps,
Okay.
where you're going on them for an explicit purpose.
Okay.
Then you have the other school of apps, the more debonair, if you will, the ones that are
Okay.
seen as being more, I'm looking for love and I'm just trying to find my person from my phone, not for the hookup. That comes, it comes, but not for solely for the hookup. I'm looking for my person. Those are the Hinge app, Bumble. I think those are really the two popular ones. But I mean, there's
Hinge and
Hinge,
Bumble.
Hinge, Hinge, and
Bumble,
Bumble,
like
like a
bumbling
bee.
idiot.
Yep.
Bumblebee.
No, it's supposed to be more endearing, like a bumblebee. And the catch there, I believe the catch there is that the woman has to initiate the conversation. Like if
So
you
she has to
match with,
spread her honey.
well, yes,
Okay.
that's that's exactly. They need to hire you. That's quite the bar. So the woman, and which is interesting, right? Because we're living in a very heterosexual dating pool here, I guess. The
Okay.
woman has to initiate the conversation on Bumble. Hinge, it's really either way. That, of course, the thought is usually the man will do it. That's why Bumble is kind of so unique. So yeah, Hinge is really popular with 20 and 30 somethings, as is Bumble. And those are really the two apps that are propped up as being, no, if you go on there, you're serious or looking for people who want to find presumably their person, not just someone who they can hang out with on Friday or Saturday night. Or Sunday or Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday if you get down like
Okay. Now I'm going to put you on the spot. Which apps do you have a profile on?
that. I knew based on your cadence that I was going to be put on the salty hot seat.
Oh yes.
So I belong to both at various points. I belong to all of these at various
Okay.
points. Current day, only Hinge. And that was
Okay.
coming off of the strength of a recommendation from one of my close friends who is, we're about the same age, and he's had success with Hinge. And he is someone who is like a very thoughtful dude, very much past the days of promiscuity and now focused on trying to find, who could potentially be his future wifey. So he's had success with Hinge. And so once he told me that, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go with this. And I currently have Hinge. I'm not on Bumble anymore. And certainly my days of Tinder are far, far past me. So it's just Hinge for me. I don't think you froze. I think you're still here. Yeah, you are. Okay.
All right.
It's just Hinge.
Now,
It's just Hinge,
with
which has
what I
not been
described on how
which
dating was back when I was there, which one would you prefer?
in terms of the apps,
You
which
would you prefer dating now or dating back then?
I got you. I
Well, yeah,
got you.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
would you prefer, or do you
You got it going.
prefer the way it is now, as in you can go to the
Yeah.
apps and everything is
Yeah.
not really face to face, or would you like the
Yeah.
challenge of, all right, yo, I gotta have my
Yeah.
game on point?
Yeah. So the I do really appreciate what you described because I guess I'm old enough now to remember those days very early on in my life where you had to kind of muster up the courage or the confidence to ask someone for their number. And Mike, you had to do that knowing that there's a possibility the person she says no. But that's how you sort of build up that confidence and that, okay, if she does say no, I can't be a jerk about it. I got to be a gentleman. I got to understand. Hey, no problem. Thank you. And then, I don't have to like hold a grudge against her just because she said no to me. I think that's where like hopefully we've shed that sort of toxic mindset. Which do I prefer? I think I prefer nowadays, Mike. It's tough out here, But the access you have, the way you can just meet people just off downloading a free app, I do think that has real benefits. Yes, it's
Okay.
incredibly superficial that you just see someone's photo and you swipe one way or the other. So take this as a grain of salt, pun intended. Hearing this from someone who's single, but I think there are real benefits to today, just because your dating pool is so much more vast than it was 10 or 20 or 30 years ago. However, I say that knowing it's not perfect. I would even say it's great out here because it's just not, man. Like you said about profiles, and I think there's a pressure to be on these dating apps, because if you're not, how are you going to meet someone at work, which we know can be a little dangerous? If you're in
Oh
school,
yes.
do you meet a classmate? Like, if you don't have a dating app, how do you find someone? Do you just go to like the Hi-Fi Club in Scottsdale? And Scottsdale's the ritzy part of Arizona. Do you just go to Scottsdale and try to find, like, if you're not on the app, what are you doing? So my answer to you is I'm gonna stick with dating now, but I say that knowing it's incredibly difficult out here, and I don't know, man. I don't know how you pulled it off. It worked out well for you. You're in a healthy, committed, beautiful relationship, and I am here to take as many notes as I can, because Lord knows I need it.
Well, I know one thing. Um, I got my wife. Matter of fact, I'll divulge this much because this would be something I'll divulge this much, right? Um, my wife and I, we met, and I know this sounds so like cliche and corny, but it is true. It was more like love at first sight because we was in a work setting, and like it was like kind of slight orientation. So she was part of a group that was joining my group, and I was selected as somebody to kind of give the ins and outs of what's expected on in our group. 'Cause we were doing volunteer service at the time, and I stuck. I just stared at her like the whole time I was talking. I was looking directly at her. Twofold. One, because she was looking at me, so I was like, "Oh, okay." So I got an admirer here.
We
And
like that.
two, I was, especially back then. I mean, you wouldn't know it now, but I was petrified of public speaking. So one of the tips I know they used to always say is concentrate on one person or one thing, and look at that, and then just you just kind of tune everything else out. So yeah, and I'm gonna be discreet when I say this. So after we had to talk, or after I had to give the speech, we went on break, and for some reason, like she was walking, and I looked at her, and she had this switch in her walk, and it was just hilarious. I look back at it, and I always laugh at it. But I'm like, yeah, you just had this switch. You had a switch like you was really trying to make me notice, right? And we end up because she was friends with a girl I went to high school with, right? So they was like, yeah, where you going to lunch? I'm like, where you going to? Going to Blimpies. Okay, so I went with them to Blimpies, and we started talking, what have you, and yeah, and now we look back, and I'm like, wow, we always joke with each other like, why were you staring at me? No, you were staring at me. No, you were
I
staring
love
at me.
I love that.
Um, Also, first time I met my mother-in-law, because like she had told her mother about me, what have you.
Of course
So
she
it
did.
was her birthday, like a birthday get together, and we came to the house, and she says her mother knew who I was before she introduced me. Now, mind you, this is before the age of cell phones, random pics on hand, like, but my mother-in-law is funny like that. She has an intuition like that. She can pick it up. So my wife always said, yeah, my mother-in-law knew exactly who you were before you even I introduced you to her. And first time I tried to kiss her, she, not like, because we was going like a couple of us was going to a comedy club. She wasn't going, right? And I wanted to stay in with her instead of going to the comedy club. She told me to go to the comedy club, so I went to the comedy club. She's like, "Call me when you get home." I'm like, "All right," and we stayed up. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning. She fell asleep on the phone while we was on. Now, this is stuff that you can't replicate by, because back then, I mean, if this would have happened now, it probably would have been message, maybe FaceTime. All right, well, I'll show you a picture where I was at. All this stuff, like it would have cut out the anticipation of, all right, let me finish this outing so I can get home so I can call. There was times that out, like, this is years later, we've been married already, but I was on a work trip, so it took, and didn't have a cell phone. Just like 2001, and like they're in Pennsylvania. I'm upstate New York. Didn't have a cell phone. I had to go to the corner and get like $10 of quarters to be on the phone and talk to my wife. Long distance. These, once again, this is stuff that you could look back with pride of. Look, I walked 15 blocks to go to the go to the nearest store to get $20 worth of change so I could speak to my wife. Now, she could be in North Carolina. I could be up here. Call, text,
Yeah,
DM. It's just certain things.
It's tough. I think there are pros and cons. You're very persuasive, and first of all, that's beautiful. I didn't know about that. Thank you for sharing. It's tough, and there's also this other element of you can be really vibing with Shorty, right, on one of these apps, but then you meet each other in person, and maybe that spark isn't there, or we really had a good thing going. The vibes were immaculate when we were texting. But then in person, maybe that connection isn't there. Whereas back in the day, I think you sort of knew off the bat if the vibes were right, because you saw each other in class or you saw each other at work. There wasn't, oh yeah, we've been emailing or texting for a month, and now here's the big moment where we're actually going to see if that attraction is real. Or to your point, Mike, going back several points ago, the person who I'm speaking with, their picture, is that really them? That's also, yeah, there are these verification tools, but that's also a thing now, even on the Hinge apps of the world. If someone doesn't have a verification sort of box next to them,
Mm-hmm.
I tend to move on from them. Even though, Mike, I've seen women on the app that I know that don't have the verification box. But
Okay.
I know, oh, that's homegirl from wherever. So it's I'm potentially putting off a whole segment of the population that maybe that's their real person. They just haven't put the time in to get the selfie to get the verification check mark. So we just play these games. I think these mind games, and then we also, my final point, I don't know if you felt this way coming up, but we also sometimes, we meaning myself and friends I confide in, really of both genders, frankly, we sometimes put these expectations in our minds, or these timelines that, okay, I have to find my person by 30. I have to have children by this age. And if I'm not doing that, then I'm letting people down, or then I'm not living life right. I think that's also relatively new within the last few decades. And largely because social media, we just see these things. We see, oh, my friend or my classmate has the wedding, has the kid, has the great job, has the home, and they seem happy on the outside, but we know behind closed doors, you just don't know if people are happy. Hopefully they are, but I think a lot of folks are miserable. But on the timeline, man, they're flexing, they got the fam, it seems great. 5 years later, they're divorced and they were miserable this whole time. We just didn't know. So I think that's also a part of the conversation beyond just the verification badges and other things, is just now not trying to make social media the bane of our existence, because I
Mhm.
really enjoy social media, but I just think now there are also these pressures we feel that we have to hit these sort of life milestones by a certain age. And maybe folks just don't want to get married. Maybe there are women in my life who I know don't want to have kids because they just don't want to. And that's okay. But
Now,
it's tough out here, man. You're very persuasive. I'm rethinking my decision. I'm gonna stick with now, but I think there's a ton of beauty in the dating scene that you came up on, and it worked
it,
out for you clearly, which I love.
I think, and this will be the last point.
It's
I
tough out
think
here,
it
Mike.
takes
It's hard.
right
It's hard.
now the the social media aspect takes the romance a little bit out of the courting. Because one thing me and my wife will always discuss, and we always tell people when they ask, "Oh, how y'all been together so long?" and blah 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 blah, is the fact that it wouldn't be possible if we weren't friends first.
Yes.
So
Yes.
all the conversation that we had in the courtship, man, beforehand, we kind of just was which got attracted to each other like magnets, but without the romance. We were just cool. And the courtship of us talking and just like talking for hours upon hours allowed each other to know what made each other tick, what we liked about. We actually liked each other. It's not like, yo, all right, which God, yeah, he's good looking, she's beautiful. Oh yeah, he feels good, she feels good. It was, I really like being around her. I like having her company and vice versa. And now I really think because everything is so microwavable, talking about music, hot takes, so
Everything.
forth. Everything is so microwavable that a lot of times that's why I believe relationships get burnt out so quick because
Hmm.
it's like it goes up to a supernova and then it fizzles out
Yep. Yep. And we
because
want that
everything is just
instant
so
gratification. Yeah. We want to
exactly.
we want to fast track everything, our professional life, our relationships. We just want to get to the end so quickly that, yeah, I man, that's a bar. That's wisdom from you, brother Steph. That's I couldn't agree with you more. I think if there's anything I've learned, I just got it affirmed for me right now. If there's anything I've learned from these years of trying to figure it out, it's that, yeah, you have to be friends first. You shouldn't rush into it. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. The universe or other forces will work out the timing, but you have to take time to build that friendship. And I've learned that through some failed experiences where you just sort of rushed into it way too soon. You skipped so many steps that would have been pivotal. I really appreciate you saying that. I could not agree with you more. The friendship element is it's not only necessary. I think it's really required.
I thought you froze.
Oh
You're
no!
not frozen,
Oh
right?
no! We were just we
Okay, okay,
we were just
okay.
we were just staring at each other.
Good. No,
Uh,
because
this is this
it's
is
like
great
on my end
content.
you sped up and then all of a sudden I heard silence
Oh,
and I'm
okay.
like, uh oh. I saw him blink.
Ki- ki- yeah. So
I swear, this the StreamYard.
yeah,
I like I said, it's StreamYard. It's
there's
StreamYard because
definitely a
like I said,
lag,
I'm
but
not gonna touch the wire because I had a catastrophe a couple months ago.
no. I
It's a
got
lag.
you. That
It's a little bit of a lag,
yeah, but
but
I think we're
I
better now. I
think
think we're
at
good.
post production, listen at the end of the day, I'll say is being the fact that all right, this could go up. It depends on how it goes up. But I can either put it up with the and you'll just have nothing but us. Regardless, you're gonna get this content. You're gonna get this part. You're gonna get this. But not yeah. Shoot, I conversation that we had about, and I really feel like that. Okay, I'm back.
Perfect.
But yeah, that was a close call. That was a close call. But yeah, it's just we can see each other's point of view, and that's where I
Yeah.
think this conversation really turned the corner. Um,
Yeah.
second to last topic. Matter of fact, last topic, second to last segment. Before we really push our luck and this get cuts off. This get cuts off. Um, we're going to talk about my favorite subject when I'm not talking about my wife, and that is my New York Jets. But more specifically, the Hard Knocks version. Do you know that my New York Jets were on Hard Knocks twice? The first time they was on Hard Knocks, which is a series taking you behind the scenes of training camp in the NFL that comes on HBO or in a lot of homes Max. I don't know why Max. Like why they had to be Max. Do you know HBO Max was short for HBO/Cinemax?
That's a
Do
good
you
point.
realize that? That's
I
what it
did not.
was. I didn't realize that until the pandemic because one of my favorite
Mm,
shows on Max is Warrior. And Warrior actually was a Cinemax show. Never realized it. Well, because I never watched Cinemax. Back in my day, Cinemax was called Skinemax because that was where a lot of
likewise.
it no-nos were at.
Likewise.
Yeah, so so anyway, but yeah, so HBO decided in concert with the NFL, or should I say the NFL in concert with HBO decided to force my New York Jets to partake in Hard Knocks this year. At first, the franchise, the owner, the coach, the quarterback were all against doing the Hard Knocks. But as Tyler is going to expertly discuss, um, it seemed like pretty much from the jump, they fully embraced what they realized Hard Knocks was going to be, as in for what they can do for the brand, what they can do for the franchise, what they can do for the narrative going into the regular season, this new era of New York Jets football with Aaron Rodgers at the helm for the first year. Um, I'll give credit where credit's due because my partner, Demojo King, did mention that the last time the New York Jets were on Hard Knocks, coincidentally, with the last time my New York Jets were in the postseason. Ain't that a bitch? So, can lightning strike twice? Different coach because we had the potty mouth Rex Ryan, but in the latter episodes, we did have an equally potty mouth Robert Saleh because his favorite word begins with an F. See, trying to censor myself. I'm trying to be a little bit more family friendly because at the numbers I saw last week, and maybe I need to adjust something. Nah, F that. Y'all know what y'all get. I ain't just a shit. So, being the fact that I'm a Jets fan, I'm already going to have a certain perspective when it came to Hard Knocks. But you being an Arizona fan, Arizona Cardinals fan, and did you watch the Hard Knocks, I believe, in season series that they have with the Arizona Cardinals a couple years ago?
Yes, I did last season.
Okay, so you have the unique perspective of going from your home team in season perspective of Hard Knocks, which I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch, and seeing the Hard Knocks
version of the training camp series from an outsider point of view. So the floor is yours.
So I don't know if I have the patience to reflect on the Cardinals last season. I'm happy that JJ Watt was spotlighted as he was nearing retirement, but last season was an absolute mess. The franchise is just not in a good spot, Mike. In terms of your JETS Jets, a few notes for you after watching every episode of Hard Knocks. Numero uno, because I know this is a bilingual podcast.
See,
The the Aaron Rodgers reclamation project. Yes, Mr. Darkness Retreat himself. I don't know if you know this, Mike, but he's seen, to go inside baseball or full wrestling terminology here, he is seen as a heel
yeah,
by most of the country.
yeah, understandable.
The majority of Hard Knocks was about him. He was in, I think the first episode, it was someone researched this and he was in like 75% of the episode, which is no surprise. I mean, if you have a Hall of Fame quarterback, you just acquired him, Super Bowl aspirations, we get it. So my first takeaway is the Aaron Rodgers reclamation project / babyface turn ? You've mentioned this on previous episodes. He seems to be adopting the mentor role to one Zach Wilson.
Yes.
So the show definitely presented him in a way where, yeah, he's kind of a kook, but maybe you want to root for him and see him. He's a little bit different, Mike. He's a different cat, as I guess most quarterbacks at that level are, that level of success. Number two, I only have three for you. Number two,
Okay.
Numero dos. I'm going to reference a previous episode title of this here podcast. In Salah we trust.
Kudos.
I
appreciate that.
Thank you. De nada. I like him. He, in Hard Knocks, they film the coaches giving their speeches and going over the PowerPoints, and they're mic'd up on the sideline. Listen, I'm always going to root for a coach of color being on the sidelines. It's shocking how few there are, how few people of color there are in ownership positions, how few men of color are on the sidelines in college and the pros. It's kind of a problem everywhere in football. So I'm rooting for him. I like him, and I don't think he's a schmuck. I actually think he's good, and I'm interested to see how he leads that team this year, especially the relationship between him and Rodgers. It seems good now, and for your sake, I hope it stays that way. Finally, number three, I did not realize, I need your expertise here, my final point. I did not realize that the New York Jets had possibly the greatest draft of my lifetime. So, and you talked about these guys, but it didn't really click in until watching Hard Knocks. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike Steph. Number one Jets fan. Well, number two behind Fireman Ed. So last year,
Fireman Ed. Fuck. Yeah. My first F word. My first F bomb. Fuck Fireman Ed.
1 hour and 48 minutes into the podcast.
Go ahead.
So you already know this, and as do the Jets fans listening or watching. Last year, the Jets drafted Sauce Gardner, who is widely considered to be a top corner in the game. Garrett Wilson, who is an emerging star, maybe superstar at this point. And I think they definitely trending up. And I think Hard Knocks also mentioned a few other players they drafted who have proven to be, good dudes on the roster. But the fact that they got Sauce and Garrett in the same draft, I don't know that nationally it's discussed enough, or maybe I just missed it last season. I don't know about the New York Jet brass. I think they've been criticized more often than not for some of their choices. To borrow one of your terms, my friend, bravo to Woody Johnson and whoever else. I forget the GM's name, but the people running that front office. Hell of a draft. These guys are going to be pivotal for this season. And I want to know from you, because this was my takeaway from watching Hard Knocks, and I don't think this is a stretch. Is it safe to say it's Super Bowl or bust for your beloved Jets this season?
I personally think that is. I don't like that narrative. I really don't. I was having a conversation yesterday with a neighbor of mine, my boy Ronnie, that I have to think of it in these terms. It's been 12 years since we got to the playoffs, right? We've had, I want to say, one winning season since 2011. So that's another 12 years. We had 2 8-8 seasons. So Super Bowl or bust would be in play if this was Aaron Rodgers' one and only season, but he's pretty much intimated that he's here for at least 2 seasons, depending on how his health is and depending on how everything is progressing. Shoot, he restructured the contract. He's actually on the books for 3 seasons. I would take this as a success, getting to the playoffs, winning 1 round. That, to me, I would be content with that. A failure is not making the playoff. That's an utter failure. I don't care how competitive the AFC is. No, with the talent that we have, in a lot of ways, the missing part was the quarterback. And we're not asking him right now. We're not asking him to be MVP Aaron Rodgers. We're asking him to be, if he is Aaron Rodgers from last year, which was a horrible year by his standards. We make the playoffs last year. He had 26 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Our quarterbacks combined didn't even get 20 touchdowns thrown. Like, like the last 6 games, we lost the last 6 games, and I think last 5 games we really didn't. We was averaging like maybe a touchdown a game. So if we have game manager Aaron Rodgers, he's going to make sure he doesn't throw that costly interception. He's going to make sure that he doesn't put his defense with the back against the goal line. So I think that's an overstatement. The media at large is trying to run with that narrative of, if they don't get to the Super Bowl, it's a failure. No, how you going to say that's a failure if we haven't been to the playoffs in 12 years? Let's say if we get to the championship game, which would tell you the truth, if we get to the championship game and we fail, I personally would take it harder than us getting to let's say being on a wild card, winning the wild card game and getting bumped in the divisional round, because I've seen my team in my lifetime get to 4 championship games, which is the precipice of the Super Bowl, and never make it. I have never seen my team on the grandest stage of all, which is Super Bowl Sunday. I've never seen my team have the 2-week lead up, the 2-week atmosphere, the 2-week media build for a Super Bowl. I've never seen my team's logo in the end zone of a Super Bowl in my lifetime. I've been a Jet fan for 41 years. This season will be 41 years. Since 1982. I can't say it'll be a failure. Now, I will say this. It'll be a failure if the 2 years that we have Aaron Rodgers, we don't make a Super Bowl.
Okay.
I'm good with
that. I'm good with that.
I will say, you know what? We didn't bring him here just to get to the championship game.
Correct.
We brought him here to at least get to a Super Bowl.
That's right.
Right now, it's all gravy. If we get to Super Bowl, we lose. Trust me, I'll be heartbroken at that point. But I can at least say my team accomplished something that they had never accomplished in my years on this earth. So yeah, this Super Bowl bust this year, nah.
Okay. Based on the slander that has emanated from your spout about some of my beloved teams. That's right. The Arizona Cardinals, the Phoenix Suns, That I know you have. And and our beloved. I don't know if your viewers are really noticing. We haven't even acknowledged this yet. And yes, you need to acknowledge me, my brother.
Listen.
Our
Yeah.
beloved New York. I don't know if you can catch the little sleeve gimmick here. Our beloved New York Yankees.
Yeah, I see.
I had to, based on the history of your slander, I had to come on Salty Thoughts and ask the hard-hitting questions. I will say, you putting out that 2-year window, give it 2 years for Gotham City, I think that's justified. I think that's fair.
That's fair.
I think that's fair. I don't say this facetiously. No facetious bone in my body today. I'm sincere. Well, that may be a lie. Maybe 1 or 2 facetious bones. Anyway, the point remains, based on my admiration for you, based on Hard Knocks. I always enjoy Hard Knocks. Based on this recent season of Hard Knocks, I hope your guys do well. I do. I hope they beat the Bills tomorrow. I hope they stay healthy, and hope to make the postseason this year. Now,
being the fact that you brought to my attention, and good thing, because I darn sure forgot, because this was a talking point in our pre-production meeting. Yeah, I've never had I swear, the only time I don't have pre-production meetings, because it's usually just like, all right, this is what I'm going to talk about. All right, let's record.
And you're great at it.
Thank you. Concerning that Yankee jersey that you have on.
That's right. Let's talk about it. I came prepared. Let's go. Not a crease in sight.
I am an avid listener, even though the host irritates the hell out of me, especially during baseball season. I'm an avid listener of the Michael K. Show every weekday from 3 to now 6:30 on ESPN New York, ESPN Radio 98.7 here in New York. And he has his trusty co-host. I would not call him a sidekick. He's a co-host. I've loved this dude since he was on WFAM back in the day. A lot of people don't realize, because he's been on ESPN for over 20 years. Don LaGreca. Giant fan, but amazing Met fan, nevertheless. And they have this argument back and forth of jerseys. Number one, when you get to a certain age, like me personally, I had a rule that I broke this year because I don't know when the next time is coming out. I told myself, I want to say I haven't bought a jersey since I turned 40. So the last 7 years I haven't bought a jersey. Up until this year. And it will be unveiled pretty soon. Probably on this platform, but maybe on Hidden Gems Football, depending on my mood. I bought the New York Jets Legacy jersey this year, which is the jersey of my youth. It's the jersey that I came to love my Jets, and I bought the white. It's white with green stripes. That's it. It's magnificent.
Magnifique.
It's the old Sack Exchange uniform with Mark Gastineau and Marty Lyons and Joe Klecko and Al Toon and Ken O'Brien and Freeman McNeil, and I could go on and on and on and on and on.
All you guys.
So yeah, so I told myself but matter of fact, before I get off track, their conversation is, you should only wear a jersey of the team that you root for, which I agree. Because it's the same thing with my hats. Like, I broke that rule when I got a Green Bay hat because I just needed it to do the color scheme.
Oh, no, don't get it twisted, dude. No, it wasn't just color scheme. You were early tampering for Aaron Rodgers.
I'll take it.
I said to myself, does this dude, this proud New Yorker, is he supporting the Cheeseheads? What?
It worked out, right?
What? Tampering. You're fortunate You're fortunate I don't call Roger Goodell on you because that was tampering.
I was putting it in the atmosphere. I was putting
Yes,
it
you
in the
were.
universe.
Yes, you were.
It worked out.
It-
So that was one rule. And another rule is not to get a jersey with your name on it. Because you ain't a player.
I'm good with that. I'm good. I agree. I agree.
Like, do you know how many years have I fought myself on getting the Jets jersey with Don C on the back or Donnie O on the back? And I'm like, luckily my age kind of got to the point like, look, maybe that's good for Madden. That's good for my creative player.
Yeah.
But it's not good for real life.
It's a little corny. I agree.
Agree. You know, I mean, you can do it as a joke that you put it, you just leave the default name as your name is 00. Okay, I would even do that as a joke. But still, the way those jersey costs, fine. But to get to the point, they always had the discussion about Yankee jerseys on whether or not can you consider yourself a true Yankee fan if your jersey has or doesn't have this item. So I'm going to ask you on air. Whose jersey are you wearing?
Well, that would be a relatively recent inductee. That's right, the 2020 inductee to the Baseball Hall of Fame. Mr. October, El Capitan, the greatest shortstop to have ever lived. Number 2, Derek Jeter.
Okay. All right. So that means that has a number 2 in the back, correct?
It has a number 2, and it has the greatest shortstop's last name proudly above the number 2 that I feel proud to wear every single time I sport this jersey.
Okay. And that's the crux of the problem. When you watch your Yankees on TV, and
right.
if you've been lucky enough to watch them in person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do they have names on the back of their jersey?
I'm waiting for your point, Mike Steph. And I see what you're doing here.
So,
Here.
if you're a true fan,
let me know when you're ready for my rebuttal.
Wouldn't you want the actual jersey? Wouldn't you want the actual jersey that your favorite player on planet Earth wears, and not a facsimile of a jersey? And before anybody thinks or tries to think I'm being slick or trying to throw shade, no, because I'm not saying no bootleg. I'm not saying that's Fugazi. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But I feel that it's MLB's fault by selling a jersey that's not a true representative fact of what's on the field. The Yankees do not put names on the back of their jersey. So why are you selling real deal official merchandise that doesn't match the actual real deal official merchandise?
Are you finished?
You can respond. Oh shit! You find out. Okay.
Point.
I'm
2
here.
points. Point number 1. Point taken. Point number 2, and more importantly, I believe that any chance you get to honor greatness, to recognize a multi-time World Series champion, you take it. Whether it honors the tradition of Yankee jerseys or not, anytime you have the chance to wear the GOAT's last name on your back, you do it. So much like
Okay.
Much like the greatest player to ever pick up a basketball, LeBron James. We are chasing greatness, Mike Steph. So do I wear the Derek Jeter jersey with his name on it? Yes, I do. Do I wear the LeBron jersey with his name on it? Yes, I do. Again, two different points here, I understand, but the theme is the same. I rock with winners. I rock with multi-time champions. It's a way of life, like the spousal chief. It's not a gimmick.
The spousal chief!
It's a way of life. I don't know if you've told Chef Mix about this, but it's not it's a way of life. How do you think Chef Mix got here? Test Tube Jones? How do you, come on, this
Shoot. See, he would
shout
say,
out Chef Mix.
the one thing I'll say, he took which girl? He took umbrage. Not with so much the spousal chief moniker. It was the moniker that followed after that, which I'm like, you know what? Okay, I got you. I got you.
That's my mom you're talking about. listen. In all seriousness,
that was a classic. That was a classic.
That was a classic. and then, if I recall, your response was, I think you did a DMX bark, or it was a little bit of Rick Ross. It was one of the two. Do you remember that? He left you speechless.
Oh, yeah, and I cut the camera off quick.
I'm going to say this. I was not aware this is a conversation that's happening. Point taken. But for the captain, I make an exception.
I mean, no, I just wanted to, because now, like I said, I feel like if anything, it's MLB's fault, because
that's true.
They're the only team that they do that with. You know, I don't know. Matter of fact, I don't know if it's the Yankees themselves, but I'm going to put the blame at MLB's feet, because they're the only team that does it. That would be like, okay, I'm a New York Jets fan, and this is one of the things I really hate, because sometimes I go in their store and they have replica jerseys with in colors that they do not wear on the field. So if I see somebody of that, I'm like, what are you doing? But at the same time, I myself have an old Rain Corbett jersey, number 80, the great Rain Corbett, that was in a color that they never wore on the field. It was gray and green. Because I saw it, I was like, oh, that looks beautiful. Like it was just so off the wall. I'm like, you know what? I have to get that. But I was thinking that maybe sometime in the future they were actually going to wear that jersey, and it was an official jersey. You know, now I look back and I'm like, I I'm like, why do they have that? Like, I just, you know, so yeah. But that was my way of messing with you, because when I saw the pinstripes, I'm like, oh, he's really gonna come on this show with the pinstripes and the special patch on the side.
Look. I don't know if you caught it,
and
Mike.
The patch on the side. Yeah, Hall of Fame, 2020. You know, which is beautiful, and to me that's why it's so blasphemous that they put the name on the back of his Hall of Fame edition jersey. They're not supposed to do that. They're supposed to let that be. Because I know you paid a pretty penny for that. I know you did.
I feel great about my decision. Great.
Listen, and that's all that matters. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
I'm letting y'all know right now. We went into overtime, and but I'm not cutting this. I'm not cutting this short. So I'm letting y'all know now. There's gonna be a long form edition, and then I'm gonna do something that I very rarely do. But I'm gonna actually I'm gonna put out each segment as its own entity, because one thing my brother did espouse to me recent, and I used his advice, and I did see an improvement. He told me, he was like, Mike, the new thing now is shorts. I'm like, shorts? So yeah, YouTube shorts. I'm like, he was like, yeah, because everybody's attention span is so quick. You put something out or a little quip. And I think the first one I did, it didn't go viral, but it went viral for my standards. It's like a 1.5K. I'm like, get the hell out of here. And that was just me talking shit. So I was like, wow, So, and another thing he did recommend to me, and I did it one time, and I don't know, for some reason I just be greedy. I'm like, no, I want everybody to watch the whole thing. I put timestamps down for a reason. If you want to skip around, you can skip around, but you're gonna watch this whole shit. Was to put out segments and then put the whole thing out. All right, I'm gonna put out segments. I'm gonna put this whole shit out. This shit's coming out on Monday, but I am going throughout the week. I'm going to put segments out, and therefore you can choose at your own, or you can just go in the timestamp. But we're having so much fun, and which, like I said, this is the second time, and we're not going to have a 3-hour conversation, but it's like a couple little things that I still want to get into, and I'm just like I'm not cutting this shit short because of the sake of time. So, like I said, timestamps at the bottom. Subscribe, like, all the other good shit, and we're just gonna keep it moving. Yeah, I swear, I swear, every time I say that, it's like SoundCloud, StreamYard trying to tell me, yeah, you think you keep on going? No, I'm gonna cut your shit off, just like that. My newest segment. It's the second edition of this segment. It's entitled, "Oh, it's only smoke and mirrors. Oh, it's only smoke and mirrors tonight." And that is my grooming segment, because, and you know who's to blame for this segment? Matter of fact, I'll give you two hints, because it's a combination, but I'll give you two hints, McTyler. Who's to blame for the segment? Who made this segment a thing?
In the name of one of my favorite ECW pay-per-views, guilty as charged.
Yeah.
Listen, man, it's dashing Mike Steph. Come on now, you know the vibes.
Yes, stashing Stone Cold Mike Steph. Yeah, we got to get that through, because I don't know why that became a thing, but yes, the dashing one is yours truly, but the moniker of myself on this segment is Stunning Stone Cold Mike Steph. If you know, you know. If you don't, go in the archives and find out. Okay, this week on Smoke and Mirrors, it's actually a little continuation of last week when I was talking about the fine things when it comes to your beard. Now, this week, Stunning Stone Cold Mike Steph, the dashing one, likes to go to this barbershop at least every 2 weeks. Now, last week was Labor Day, and because I wasn't able to get to the barbershop on Labor Day, get to the barbershop before the Labor Day rush, I said, you know what? The dashing one is just so damn dashing that I can go an extra week without getting a trim. I can go an extra week without getting a lineup. You know why? Because my wife loves it, and therefore I love it. So this is going on week 3. But today, I was like, you know what? I have this special guest on the line, and I am going to give the second edition of Smoke and Mirrors. Whoa! And I was going to get myself a nice fresh cut, a nice fresh lineup, a nice fresh shave. Only one problem. My barber of choice was not in the barbershop. Not only my barber of choice was not in the barbershop, my backup barber was not in the barbershop. So what is the dashing one to do when not one, but 2 of your favorite barbers are not in the barbershop? I had a decision to make. I told myself, dashing one, should you go in there and allow someone the privilege of cutting this magnificent mane on your face? Could you allow someone the privilege to attempt to give you that hairline that is sorely missing underneath this hat? Or or do you say, you know what? The dashing one will wait until the next day to get one or two of his preferred barbers. So it was so many things that I had to juggle from. I left the decision up to my wife, Mrs. Ooh. I told my wife, I'm like, babe, I really want to get shaved before I do this podcast. And you know what my wife said? My wife said, babe, you don't need that. You look good just the way you are. And you know what that did to the dashing one's ego? It's it blew my ego up so much. I was like, you know what, babe? You're damn right. And you know, she even added this little antidote. She said, look, if anybody has a problem with the way that my husband's appearance looks on the screen, which they shouldn't, but if they do, guess what? Then they got a problem with me. And I'm quite sure the masses don't want that problem. Yeah, I added in the masses, but y'all get the gist. So just with all that confidence, I said, you know what? You're right. You know, I wear a hat. You know, I broke out the special t-shirt for McTyler. I broke out might as well say almost like the Christmas edition of the Polo Bear. And I was like, you know what? The salt and pepper and the fact that my camera is just it just catches all of the beauty of my mane, that I was like, you know what? I could get away with another week. But this is what you do when you're behind a week. This is the tip of the week. Right before you go on camera, you go into the men's room. You go into your lovely abode, the bathroom, and you take the brush out, brush down. You do about 15 strokes each way, 15 this way, 15 this way, 15 under here. Then you get the beard spray, spray it on the hands, rub it together, and massage. Some people would be like, oh, dashing one, shouldn't you put the beard spray on before you brush? Oh, no. That's how mere plebeians do it, not the dashing one. The dashing one brushes first, then puts the beard spray on, and then guess what he does? He adds on another 15 strokes to each side to make it nice and pristine, and at least up to his appearance, up to his standards, because his standards are the only standards that really matter when it comes to, whoa, it's only smoke and mirrors. Because in reality, they're only smoke and mirrors when it comes to the dashing one. But before I end this segment, the dashing one does have to say, matter of fact, I'm going to put you on the spot. Maybe you know. Yeah, you. Have you seen the media guides that y'all
So
did you see you?
no.
No, I'm asking. I'm really out the blue. All I know is I was on a time clock, and I kind of stalled the process because y'all, in actuality, y'all was waiting for my picture to be on the media guide.
Okay, yes, I remember. Yeah, I do. That's right. Yep. I've seen it. I know the story. I got you. We got the picture up, and it looks phenomenal.
Yes,
it does.
So
I've seen the 19.
So that was the birth of the dashing one, stunning Stone Cold Mike Steph. That was the birth of the dashing one's new segment, Smoke and Mirrors. And like I said, it was supposed to be a one-time only affair. But this dude, McTyler, he was like, you know what, Mike? That might be a thing. And I said, you know what? I'm going to run with it. And run with it I shall. So, yes. Yeah. Him. Yeah. He's guilty as charged. Now.
Yeah, great installment.
Which got Because I've said numerous times, I am a benevolent soul. I will give you an opportunity, but I will only give you 60 seconds. Do you have any grooming tips for the masses?
Hmm.
And the clock starts now.
Yeah, I got a grooming and a fashion tip. Number
Okay.
one, the best men's shower soap. We don't mess, and I don't know what your tips are here, Mike. So this might be a controversial conversation. My days of using the liquid soaps in the shower are no longer as I enter my 30th year on the planet. The soap that you need in your life, speaking to our fellow men out there, is Dove. Dove Shea Butter. It's a game changer. That's my grooming tip. Invest yourselves in some
Okay.
Dove. Dermatologist recommended Shea Butter. Number two, I'm a firm believer in this. I'm not a huge polo shirt guy, and jerseys are a little bit different. But if you are wearing a polo shirt or a dress shirt,
Okay.
and if you are, say, 30 years old or above, it is imperative that you unbutton the top button. I see too many of our brethren going full button Jones up to the.
Yeah, that's nasty. That's nasty.
I think if you're of a certain age, the top one's got to be on. I'm not going to do the full, but the top has got to be unbuttoned. That's my grooming and my fashion tip.
Why would you want to walk around with the tight neck? Like, no, that's
No.
nasty. It's just
When you are dashing, whoa! It's only smoke and mirror. When you are dashing, there are guidelines you have to respect and you have to follow.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree. I swear, I was gonna break out something else. I was like, you know what? I'll say that for you for your return in a couple months. Because I always have a trick up my sleeve. But yeah, this this one. See, not only did you get my groom tip of the week, you got a guest grooming tip of the week. I agree with wholeheartedly. Been Dove people for years. We do Dove sensitive skin. Yeah, we do Dove sensitive skin. Because we need the sensitive skin because like with skin sensitive as this, I don't want to trust anything else. I don't need. Look, I have such extra. I was about to say lubrication pores, but and the liquid soap, I agree with. And this is really pissing me off because I don't know what the hell's going on. But like I said, I think it's almost like they're like, yeah, they're doing Dame time. When it comes to this, because this is crazy. Darn, are you the liquid soap? I will say, I don't use as all you fucking the liquid soap. I don't use as singular, but sometimes depending on what flavors or what flavors I'll sometimes I'll add that to my sensitive skin Dove, just for that extra strip of vest. Smoking mirrors for this week. This is ridiculous, and I swear I don't want to do this, but we're gonna wrap up this recording of the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph because StreamYard is about to have me blow a gasket because I have no idea what's happened the last 5 minutes. Cause we hit a good stretch, and then all of a sudden it was just popping in and out. So so I think we're gonna get out while I'm getting this good. I would love for you
to once again let the masses know what you have on tap, both with Gimmick Infringement, the podcast, Gimmick Infringement, the YouTube show, and most importantly, Gimmick Infringement, the website, where you can find great passages by Tyler McDowell and Brad Winchester on various topics. We have the last two that dropped were one detailing the situation going on in Arizona with the WNBA, the Phoenix Mercury, and their below standard season. And we have one by Mr. Brad detailing the day-to-day challenges of the teaching profession, and not the fact that he just teaches. No, he's a teacher. So those are two passages, but once again, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Thank you, brother. You show us so much love. It really means everything to us. You're not just giving us the opportunity to promote it here, but I know you read it. I know you champion it, and it means everything. So thank you. Yeah, gimmickinfringementpod.com is where you can check out our articles. Like Mike said, some are on wrestling, but many are on other topics, such as the Phoenix Mercury piece that I wrote. Brad did write that excellent, really vulnerable article on being a teacher in Arizona, the joys and some of the challenges. I put out a piece today, Mike, about the business of Taylor Swift. It's titled The Taylor Swift Era. So it was different for me. I'm trying to stretch my reach here. Her Era's concert tour is likely to generate $2.2 billion of revenue, which would be a record for North America, surpassing Elton John. So yeah. So I wrote about my relationship to Taylor Swift's music, which is quite vicarious. I thought about what friends have told me about her work. I even listened to some tracks, and it's just kind of a piece reflecting on, in my estimation, how she's become the Roman Reigns of the music industry. So gimmickinfringementpod.com, check it out. Brad does an amazing job upkeeping the website and making it look so good. You can find all of our pieces on there. We do release Gimmick Infringement, the podcast, every single Monday. We're on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, everywhere. Everywhere you can find podcasts, we're there. And again, we talk about pop culture, pro wrestling, and just what it's like to live as educators, in Brad's case, as a dad, me as a now 30-year-old, just try to figure out my life and try to reach some of the goals I have professionally and personally. So yeah, man, every Monday you can check us out at GIPod19 on formerly Twitter, now X. I'm at Tyler J. McDowell. Again, check out all that Brad is up to. And like I said, Mike, such an honor to be here with you. I did not think we were going to go nearly 3 hours, but we did, because I always enjoy chopping it up with you. I love what you do here. And once again, brother, thank you so much for the welcome. And this was another fun one.
Nah, I truly appreciate it. Like I said at the beginning, I'll say it again, and I'll say it probably when we get off air. Yeah, I trust and believe. I didn't think we were going to go 2.5, but we got to a certain point, and I was just like, yeah, it's going to about 2. And then I looked, I was like, yeah, it's going over 2. But it's one of those things that they say time flies when you're having fun. And that's truly the thing when we get together, because I mean, yeah, the ticket's there, but we're not really paying attention to the ticker. It's just like free flowing conversation that we would have whether the camera was on or not, the microphone was on or not. Shoot, I swear, sometimes if there was a way that we could probably stitch together like the voice memos in our DM, that could be an episode upon itself.
By itself, weekly.
Yeah, but it's probably best not for that. But this is like, I'm just trying to say that this is what we do on a daily basis. It just so happened we just called 2.5 hours straight to give y'all a glimpse into pretty much what we chop it up about almost every day, just more structured. So yeah, I really appreciate that you took the time out, the elongated time out
to come in, which go ahead chop it up with me on this platform. It's like I said, it's you're a very special guest when it comes there, and I mean y'all have always told me, it's got doors always open to come onto yours, and vice versa. Doors always open to come on here. But even like I said, even more so because you really allowed me to get my feet wet doing this YouTube thing, and you allowed me to gradually get my confidence, because believe it or not, I won't say my confidence was shaken, but I was leery of putting my whole being out there on Front Street, not hide behind a moniker or hide behind an alter ego, so to speak. And you coming on for those first 2 episodes really allowed me to get my bearings and see exactly where I was going to either pivot or just direct what I'm trying to do here, which is it's really more the same. But I tell people the name changed, but the reason I needed to change the name was personal. It was for my own growth as a human, as a man. As if I was going to do this, I needed to do this 100%, not half-ass it to a certain degree. So you allowed me to get comfortable in that, and I'll be forever grateful for that.
Well, and if I can just add in, Mike,
Yeah.
without reaching the 3 hour,
Mhm.
hour mark, I promise I won't go on that long.
No, it's all right.
Of a soliloquy here, but to that point, I'm honored and blessed to hear that. Thank you. I didn't realize that that's how you felt, but it means so much to know that. So thank you. And then number 2, something that I hope you continue to do is remain open and remain as vulnerable as you declare fit for this, because I think as men, as Black men, we don't always have these conversations about our health as frequently, or dare I say as openly as maybe we should, because it's just scary to talk about what you're going through, right? It's so much easier to say, "Oh, how are you? I'm good. How are you? Oh, yeah, I'm good. You straight? Okay." And then we keep it pushing. So I commend you for, in private, in public, always being honest and real and vulnerable, because it's not easy. But I think as men, and again, additional level as Black men, I think that it's so imperative that we look out for each other and be honest when we ask how each other are doing, because we only get one crack at this thing, man, at this life thing, and it's never long enough from what I understand and what I see. So the fact that we can make time with each other, and obviously I don't need to tell you that, like, you and I have shared with each other our own, moments of grief and all of that, which we won't get into. So I just want you to know that I'm inspired by how open you are with your health. And I just think we need more Mike Steffs in the world. So I appreciate you for that, bro.
I appreciate those kind words. Like I've always been the type to. I tell my wife this all the time. I'm the type, I don't really know how to take compliments well. Well, matter of fact, I won't say compliments, but I guess that's the best word, because I always perceived to be a giver and not a taker, or receiver. Matter of fact, receiver. Like even when it comes to gifts, like, all right, Christmas time, yeah, you get a gift, you get a gift, you get a gift, you get a gift. Somebody gives me a gift. Why you give me a gift for? They're like, because I'm like, you didn't have to, like, and I like, thank you, but I don't even know how to even receive it, so like I really, really appreciate those kind words. Last thing, and because I gotta do the witch go, I gotta do the business work. The Salty Thoughts to Mike Steph podcast is available on the following platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. New episodes drop on Wednesdays. You can follow me on Instagram, on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Mike Steffens _. You can follow me on Instagram at Mike _Steph. on Instagram, and you can follow me on TikTok at MikeSteph_. One very important thing to say about the audio version, because I know a lot of people seem like they've chosen to watch instead of listen, which I totally get because I'm guilty of that when it comes to other platforms too. Like I watch, if they got multiple, I'll usually watch, and then sometimes depending if I'm driving, I'll put the audio version on. But if I'm at home, I watch it on the TV, I watch it on my phone, what have you. But when it comes to the audio version of the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph, I will let y'all know that it is really a week behind the video. So this week's episode of the YouTube, the YouTube episode will be available in audio form the following Wednesday. So the audio is usually like a week behind because I want to give, everything a chance to breathe. And but I do recommend y'all check out the audio versions, specifically because that's always been my baby. And there's things that I can do on the audio version that I'm not allowed to do on YouTube because copyright and all that other BS. So I appreciate if y'all just check it out for 10 minutes. Check out the beginning and check out the end, and it would pretty much be the theme song of the episode, which you will find on the audio version. That's the one thing about video. Like there's certain things that I want to add on just to give a little different vibe that I'm used to, and I can't do it because just the way things are set up, but I understand. But yeah, check out the audio version. And last but not least, check out Hidden Gems Football, hosted by the Mojo King and myself, Mike Steph. New episodes drop every Thursday on the YouTube page of the 19 Media Group. This past week, we came out. How many episodes did we drop in the last 7 days? I don't even remember. I know we have our preview series of each division when it comes to NFL. I believe the last one that dropped was the AFC South. The AFC South dropped yesterday. Then our premiere episode of the regular season dropped this past Thursday, which we previewed yesterday's slate of games. Then we had probably my most favorite episode in Hidden Gems football history, especially in the preview series, the preview of the AFC East. That dropped, I believe, last Tuesday. Just go on the YouTube page of the 19 Media Group, go under the playlist listed Hidden Gems Football, like and subscribe, and you can find out everything that I just rambled on about more in depth. So it's 2 hours, 37 minutes, and 51 seconds. I think, and you know what? This is not even a record because I think the last time me and you got together, we went to 2:45, but we're not going that there. So I appreciate each and every one of y'all for making it. I appreciate each and every one of y'all for making me the YouTube. Matter of fact, for making me and this here podcast the one y'all choose to view and the one y'all choose to listen to. With all that being said, you know what? I'm going to give you the honors of signing this out. McTyler, sign us out.
Well, I think we must bid everyone adieu. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Good night.
Yeah. Sure. You know, I always do this. I keep on forgetting that you got to press it twice.